we are on already. So we got the green light on already. So welcome back everybody to your very 420 pod. This is your main host Chino, and today's special guest actually is somebody from Florida, all the way down in Florida. Her name is Aspen. So I'm just gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna let her introduce herself. This is the first episode of the new year. So hopefully everybody has had a good, holiday season and the end of 2025. So let's just focus on the next year, which is, 2026. So, Aspen, again, thank you for coming to the show and vibing out here with me today. So, yeah, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everybody. My name is Aspen. I am the CEO of Elevate Holistics. We do online medical marijuana cards in 18 states, basically getting patients legal, making sure they can save on taxes, they can access cannabis, skip lines, and, have the right to consume. I am a huge advocate myself. I consume cannabis myself, so I actually consume what I preach, and I believe so strongly that cannabis saves lives and improves quality of life. And if I can do that a little bit every day, I feel my purpose on this earth will be fulfilled. And that's why I do what I do.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And for how long have you been doing this? You're trying to give out patients, the access to get to our favorite plant, cannabis.
Yes, I started with in the cannabis industry 8 years ago. So while I was in college, I was the president of NORML, which is the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, and I learned a lot about what it looks like to change laws and advocate for patients and just, get bills into process. And so the past 5 years specifically, I've been working with Elevate Holistics. I started as the first employee ever. I was taking phone calls, doing patient paperwork.
Mhm.
And then 3 years later, I was promoted to the director of operations. And then another year after that, I was promoted to the CEO as our previous CEO left to do an AI technology business. He was like, no one knows this company better than you. No one knows the process, the
Mhm.
vision, all of the things. So he really just gave me the steering wheel, and I have been, I humbly accepted and have been learning so much, but, I love every day of it.
So like how was it then being like the first employee and just trying to I guess trying to get people to get a medical card, like how did you, I guess, like
Start.
yeah, like how did you propose to somebody, like did you go to people like face to face, or was this all just phone calls or
Yeah, so how did we market basically without
yeah.
advertising, without billboards, without money? Like how did we get
Mhm.
customers? So what we did was partner with dispensaries that were already open and seeing patients
Mhm.
as their choice medical provider. So we basically went to dispensaries with the pitch. We hit them up on LinkedIn, cold called, whatever. However, we sometimes we would just walk in the door and say, we have a HIPAA compliant process. We have the best doctors. We have a 99% approval rate. We have an online system, and we can give you a kickback for every patient that you send to us. And so they would actually send groups of people either through a virtual patient drive or just by having our cards in the front of the store. We would essentially market through dispensaries to individual patients.
Mhm.
And then eventually that grew to word of mouth and, people posting about it on Facebook and groups. And it just kind of really grew from there. Over half of our patients are actually, they find us through word of mouth, which is so cool that people are bragging about where they get legal. That makes me really happy.
Yeah, right. Especially nowadays. Although, it is still, legal in certain states of the, whole United States, but like
Yeah.
just I have you ever like were a part of like, I guess, the community, or even like have you consumed before it even became legally, I guess, in Florida, or have you gone to
Totally.
other states?
Yeah, so I grew up in Missouri. I just
Oh.
moved to Florida in the past 4 years. So I grew up in Missouri, highly illegal. All of, my first years of consumption was not by the books.
Yeah.
But that's how we all start, right? So,
Mhm.
I don't feel bad about it. I don't hide it. You got to do what you got to do. I have been on um pharmaceutical, medications from the age of 8 years old. I was first put on a controlled substance for ADHD. The doctor would ask your parent, "Oh,
Mhm.
does your kid not listen? Does your kid not focus? Is your kid loud?" here's a pill, and I think that a lot of the times kids do have ADHD, but I also think a lot of the times there's an overprescription element there, because a lot of kids don't listen. A lot of kids
Mhm.
are rambunctious. A lot of kids yell. Like that's called being a kid. And so whether I needed it or not is up for debate, but I spent a decade of my childhood on controlled substances. And now, I turned 18, went off to college, did the college thing, started
Mhm.
getting high. And I realized a lot of people were using it recreationally, but I was using it medicinally. Like I didn't rip a whole bong. I didn't smoke a whole joint. Like I would just have one little gummy or one little hit and I would find myself really focused. I would find myself not having all the side effects of my ADHD medication, but still getting the same result of like calming and, just kind of not being so out of my head and distracted. And so once I realized what it could do for me, a kid at that point, I was like, what has this done for other people? So I started getting involved, started, just Googling it. Like, does
Mhm.
cannabis help people? Is this an actual medicine? Or, are people kind of just saying that so it can get legal? Um, and it is totally a medicine. Like, I fully treat it as a medicine. I think people do treat it as a recreational, drug too. And at the end of the day, I don't really care the reasoning. If you have an increased quality of life from consuming a plant, do it. And so that's kind of how I fell into this. Is it helped me personally?
Yeah, most definitely. On my case, I'm not a medical user. I'm more of the recreational side. But just kind of like knowing the fact of, how just one particular plant, can really, maximize somebody's, health, in a positive way from what we know, right? Because I feel like, you know, I feel like there's always new research, there's always new cannabinoids that we, tend to, come across. Because like I always tell people, it's not just like the THC and the CBD, it's more like the CBD, the CBG, like all
Yeah.
those other components.
The terpenes
Right,
too.
the terpenes. That's
All the
that's
things.
that's a big input, especially when it comes to just like recreational users, right? Because you got people that really love that dainty, skunk, meaty, cheesy smell, and then you
Me
got
too.
you
That's
got others
the
that and you got others that tend to like the candy, like the fruitiness, the citrusy. So, it's a lot, not just one particular thing that we all, know about. But it is pretty awesome to really know that there's a lot of people still out there that have started from back then, like yourself. But kind of like looking back, how did you get from, I guess, being a student to, I know you kind of briefly mentioned in the intro that you were working with Normal before.
Yeah.
So how did those, like in that time, how did you find them? How did they find you?
Yeah. How do you get into the industry, right? Starting from
Right.
nothing. My biggest, suggestion is to network,
Mhm.
to show your face at every single convention, every single event, every lobbying opportunity. I don't care if you're meeting with lawyers or you're meeting with dispensary owners or you're meeting with stoners. If you're networking in the cannabis industry, you're one step closer to your dream role. And I would get really, really definitive with what your dream role is because it's such a new industry. You can literally do anything. Like for me personally, I knew I wanted a medical focus. I knew I wanted to work from home and I knew I wanted to help people. And so how I tailored that is online medical marijuana cards. And so what someone else might want to do is say, I want to talk about terpenes. I want to find the right cannabis for someone. I want to find, trial and error and someone that's nervous about marijuana, like guide them to the right product, even if it takes months. Then
Mhm.
you should be a bud tender, and you should start a YouTube channel talking about these things, and you should start a blog, and you should have advertisements on those blogs, and you should be making money off the knowledge that you have. And so, whatever route that you take, just get so defined in like that top high level, like what exactly do I want to do? And then just start talking to people and it'll really, I think the world is constantly working in your favor to give you
Mhm.
what you want as long as you're working at it. And so define your goal. This is like where I get hippy dippy. Define it, tell the world what you want and start getting out there.
Yeah, most definitely. But like going like to your time though, like was it hard? Like or
Oh,
was it kind of easier to kind of find like stoners, you know, like
stoners in Missouri, not so much. It was
Okay.
this was 2019, 2018, so it wasn't so easy to find stoners. I found lawyers, I found people that were opening dispensaries actually,
Mhm,
so filling out applications, I would help them write SOPs. I worked for free so many times. Like it is insane how many, how much sweat equity I put into this industry. And so I would go to a networking event, like a cannabis focused convention, and just talk to every single booth. And then I would go to the after party and I would talk to anyone that had a clipboard
mhm,
or a nice suit or someone that I was like, you're the person to talk to. And I would just be like, oh, where do you live? How'd you get here? How'd you whatever? And just start talking about where you want to go and what they do and how you could help each other. Like, you don't want to constantly just be like, help me, help me. You want to help them too. Like, how can I offer my assistance? And for me personally, that meant working for free for a little bit, which
mhm.
I, in hindsight, probably shouldn't have done, but I was naive and I really, really wanted to enter the cannabis space. And so, just do what you got to do.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I feel like it's always like the sacrifice and it's always like a journey, right?
Yeah.
Especially within this industry, because like I see so many people come in doing one thing, but then they stop doing and do another thing, but within the same industry, like they haven't left. It's just like new openings for them.
Yeah. And your
And I
passion can
yeah,
change. Like
right.
your passion could be podcast today and talking about it to the masses. And then one day you might be like, I don't want anyone to hear my thoughts. So then you go wormhole and you go, okay, I'm just going to blog. I'm going to do it like behind my screen. Whereas you're like today, oh, I want to be in front of everyone and I want my voice to be heard. And so passions can change, passions can realign. Personally, I'm getting really into psychedelics, and so I
Mhm.
want to expand into psychedelic screenings within the next year. And so did I see that for myself 10 years ago as someone that had just tried marijuana and was nervous about it and learned that it's a medicine? Would I see myself selling mushrooms one day? Hell no. Hell, hell no. Passions
Uh,
evolve.
hey, shrooms and weed, they go a long way. They go a long way.
They're like best friends.
Have you tried shrooms or any psychedelics?
I have personally,
Okay,
yes.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And I enjoy it.
Okay.
I do.
What have you tried? Like besides, I guess shrooms, or has it been only shrooms?
Yeah, so I've done microdosing, which is a combination of psilocybin, ashwagandha, lion's mane, and some
Hmm.
other, neuroplasticity focused mushroom blends. I would say those help me feel sharp, focused, happy. I come to like weird realizations. I'll be like, oh, what if I'm a piano prodigy, and I've never played the piano. I just have like the most dumb realizations you
Hmm.
could imagine. And then I actually treat trips, like specific psilocybin trips where I plan to be out of my mind for 6 to 8 hours. I treat it as a spiritual journey toward, enlightenment. This is right where I get hippy dippy again, but I try to ask myself, 50-year-old me, what are we doing? What does my daily life look like? How did I get there? And I try to just really go deep within myself to look for answers and like, what's my next move? And, how do I get into the psychedelic space? Or how do I, start talking about this with people in a way that doesn't scare them into seeing visuals and getting really, really high. How can I do this in a medicinal way? And so
Hmm.
when I have these trips, I don't really treat them, as these recreational, like, I'm going to have fun for 8 hours. It's more like I'm going to learn how to be a better person for myself and for my future in the next 8 hours.
Yeah, right. I feel like it's also how you see it. Just kind of you mentioned, right? It's either you're gonna party, or you're just gonna find yourself.
Yeah.
And I think it's really like the scenery you're in too, and it's just like I mentioned, like how you're going in with it. Um,
Intention. Yes.
right, right.
Everything.
I personally have not tried shrooms. I've only have tried LSD. For
Okay.
like two main different reasons. One, I was just for the fucks of it because I wanted to see it was COVID, right? And I was like, let me see how it is, right? Because
How was
like
it?
it was pretty good. It was long. It was long. I
It
had
worked.
it worked. Yep, yeah, yeah. Especially if you have LED lights like on the ceiling in your room and posters all over. Oh yeah,
Wow.
it's a major trip. But then my second time, I really wanted to kind of more like self-reflect, see how I am with the LSD and stuff like that, see what what I can think, like the third eye type of vision type of shit, right?
Wow.
But
Did you feel like with those two different intentions, the results were different?
yeah, it was one like the for the first time it really felt long. Like I did this like during the nighttime, so of course I did not sleep the whole night. I was just kind of like getting to a point. It was like already getting to a point where I was tired of it. Like I was like, yeah, I'm trying to like close my
I'm
eyes,
down.
right? But no, no. I
You're
see.
you're
I
done
was
when the
watching.
drug says you're done.
Right, right. Because I'm so, used to just, smoking a blunt or a joint, like maybe two now, just kind of being high and then knowing the fact like in an hour and a half, I'm already coming down, like or like or because now I take dabs, like I'm a big dab lover. Like right now,
Nice.
unfortunately, I ran out of dabs.
Oh,
So I just have is like my little, disposable here that is
nice.
barely like saving the day, saving the podcast session. Right, right.
Have you
um
ever tried a joint wrapped in wax?
yeah, yeah.
That is
how
like my
about how
favorite.
about how about how about we call it here donuts. I'm not sure if you have donuts there. What's pretty much or a hash hole pretty much is like a joint rolled and then you have like wax like in the middle. So like they wrap it, they roll it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Haven't had
Wait,
that.
you guys don't have that in Florida?
Mm, I mean, I could probably home make it.
Oh, here you go. Here you go. Well, you
Wow.
should try that. You should really try
Okay.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
But
what do
yeah,
you, how does the wax not stick to the paper though? Like how do you
so
roll
yeah, so pretty much you have your paper and then you lay it with some weed first.
it? Okay.
You lay it down like flat.
Okay, like a
And
sushi roll with rice.
correct. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So then before you do it, you roll it, you add the wax, and pretty much what some people do is like they grab like a good amount of wax and then they kind of like roll it like this. And so it kind of gets like
Oh.
pretty much like long, right? So
Okay.
then you layer it on top of the flat weed that you have, and then you're
Yeah.
gonna sprinkle a little more weed on top of it, and then you just roll it, and that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Canna
Sometimes,
vibe. You learn something new every day.
right. Sometimes when we don't have a lot of, wax, you just get the hot pen and you kind of just like drop little droplets in between, the
Okay.
the doink. But yeah, it's something you should try out there.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Bring the new thing to the Florida stoner community
I
if they
will.
haven't tried that, but it's a nice way to get stoned for sure.
I'm excited. Okay. I'm interested to see like if the listeners have done it too, or if
Oh,
I'm just totally out of the stoner loop now. So like if people
yeah.
can comment, like
Mhm.
have you tried that?
Yeah, well, here in Illinois and in Michigan, it's been a big thing this season or this year per se.
Nice.
So yeah, over here in some Illinois dispensaries, they do already sell some hash holes.
Wow.
Like I said, they also call it donuts. So it has its own little name to it, but yeah, I mean, again, if you have a good wheat leaf plant strain with a good concentrate strain, those two.
Unmatched.
Wow, yeah,
All right.
wow,
All right. I'm into it. I'll let you
Yeah,
know.
right, right. So let us know if you ever tried it. But actually, I've had a question for you, and I guess going, especially with you working in the medical industry and as well, kind of prescribing, legal weed to us.
Yeah.
What is like, I guess your point of view between cannabis and psychedelics. Well, is there a preferred method for you to for your clients, or is it all depending on the person that you're taking you're dealing with?
Yeah, so right now we only do recommendations for cannabis. We haven't dipped into the psychedelic space. I would say Canada is a lot further ahead than the United States when it comes to access, legalization. I do know that in California and New York you can order mushrooms, but I have tried and they do not ship to Florida. So unfortunately we can't we can't try it yet. But I would say, we do the cannabis side, and it really depends on the person when it comes to dosage and frequency. And it's really just trial and error. We say, like, try this. If you don't like this, scale it back. If it didn't work at all, scale it up. And so we've been heavily cannabis focused.
Mhm.
And I would personally say the biggest difference is cannabis is euphoric, whereas mushrooms is psychedelic. So you'll feel euphoric, happier, uplifted, like the cannabis high, whereas the psychedelic high, it's a little bit less controllable, right? Like if things are moving and colors are appearing that you've never seen before and you have kaleidoscope vision, that's not something you can just kind of snap out of. Like you're either in it or you're not. Whereas cannabis, there are ways to get out of it. You can take a shot of olive oil, you can take a hot shower, you can eat a big meal, right? Like
Mhm.
the mushrooms, kind of like you were saying the LSD, you were in it. It's kind of hard to leave once you're in it.
Yeah, you're stuck with it.
When the
uh,
when the drugs say your journey is complete, that's when it's complete.
yeah, that's what's up. But no, but yeah, I mean, like, but I feel like they're both like beneficial, but I think like it's just in two completely different ways though. But like, I'm not too sure like how like we can like really compare to those two because again, like you kind of mentioned, like one is really you can say controllable, while the other one it's like you know.
You're in.
Right, you're
I would
in.
almost say, like, depending on your medical condition too. Like, I know mushrooms and microdosing is really good for anxiety and depression because
Mhm,
you're out of your head. Like, you're out of your head, you're in these visuals, you're in a very happy space, you're learning things about yourself, you're having realizations, whereas cannabis might be better for chronic pain or relaxing or, easing stress, but not necessarily curing chronic depression, if that makes sense. If anything, I think chronic cannabis use could make it worse because you're constantly relaxed and carefree. And so, anything in excess isn't good, right? Like one donut, fine, delicious.
mhm.
5 donuts a day, all day, every day. Uh.
Yeah. I get you. So are you like also like I guess in the path of like not like really like that way, but I'm trying to say, but you similar agree like to like where I guess a lot of cannabis is not too much then for us then or
It really depends on the person. I would say for me personally with ADHD, my ADHD is not going away.
Mhm,
I do need cannabis every day because it doesn't roll over to the next day.
mhm,
Um, but I can't, just me, this isn't speaking for everyone else. I can't have a donut hole at 8 a.m., a bong at 10 a.m., an edible at noon, like, because I'm going to be asleep by 3 p.m.
mhm,
But what I could do is have like a 2 milligram edible at 8 a.m., one puff at noon, another puff at 5, and then another edible at 6. And so that kind of easy going high is really good for me and my focus. But that was a lot of trial and error. I spent a lot of years stoned.
yeah, no, yeah. I'm
Haven't,
still
yeah. If you're listening to this, you probably have too.
yeah, shit, I'm getting stoned right now while I'm
Oh,
talking to
yeah.
you. No, but see, you don't even want to know my schedule. I be taking a dab like at 8 a.m. and then I'll be taking another dab like at 8:30 a.m.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
that works for
So so
you. That
so
makes
so
you
like
happy.
so like by like 9 like by like 10 a.m. I already have like probably like 4 or 5 dabs in me.
Okay, so you're what they call built different.
Right, right. Iron lungs. There you go. Iron lungs.
Yeah, you're iron lung. I personally cannot breathe after one dab, so
Uh,
good for you. I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed.
I don't even think that's anything to brag about, but no, I mean, like, oh my God, but no, yeah, I really do love my dabs though. I feel like, uh, they're just stronger, and I think, I
Man,
just because it's just because like I really do like to consume inside, and knowing that I really am limited to consuming inside. Like for instance, right now, right, I have nobody at home, so of course I'm gonna smack on my
yeah,
disposable, right?
right.
Because like right, even like by taking like probably like 5 hits, it's not gonna smell, right? And
No,
in taking a dab, sure you'll get like the little smell after, but it's not like like it's gonna stay there for hours.
it
So
doesn't linger. No, it
right,
doesn't. You're right. And
it's
it's quick, it's fast. Like
right.
the edible, you gotta wait an hour or two. It's not for everybody.
Right. And then of course flour. I mean, yeah, you would who wouldn't love to smoke flour in their own house, but like sometimes if you can't, you can't, right? So it's like you gotta,
That's a
you
before
know,
kid thing.
right, right.
That's
Or
what we did
more
before kids.
right, right. Or more is like I can't wait till I'm like 40 or 50, 45 so I can just be in my own crib and just smoke. Right?
My cats are like, why does it never smell like weed anymore?
Hey, shout out to the cats.
Yeah,
The cats know what's up.
they
Hey,
do. They're my little stoner cats.
that's what's up. That's what's up. Um, but I guess like besides, knowing the fact that you can, talk to people and prescribe, I mean, like give them the ability to gain their medical card. How is it like I guess like behind the scene? I'm not sure if you guys know too much on this, but like when it comes to like I guess people with like insurance and stuff, like I know I'm sure like 100% I guess it's not covered by the insurance. So like I guess for someone to like get a medical card as their first time, is it like expensive to get one, or should people not really be like worried about that, as someone that's new?
Yeah, so I would say if you're in a recreational state or a medical state, getting a medical marijuana card makes sense. And I don't just say that because, I run a medical marijuana card company. As a patient myself, the tax savings and the knowing that if I get pulled over or if this becomes an issue or if this, if something goes to court or something or another, I have a card from a doctor saying that this is medicine. And so even if you're consuming it recreationally, like in Illinois or Michigan, having that extra layer of protection is so incredibly important because that's the first thing they're going to go for, right? Like if you're driving or if you're, doing whatever. So I think it's incredibly important when it comes to price. Our average price is about $100. The approval lasts a few years depending on your state. Missouri, 3 years. Illinois, 1, 2, or 3 years you get to pick. Um, let's see, Louisiana, it's every year. So it really just depends. But I did want to give a coupon code to you and all your listeners for 20% off, just the code CANNAVIBE. It's going to be 20% off all first time, all renewals, every state that we operate in. So I can hopefully break the barrier a little bit of that scary price. But we have a price savings calculator on our website. If you just type in, hey, I spend $300 a month on weed, which is
Mhm.
probably, only what, like $70 a week, not too much. The
Well,
medical,
depending where you're at, because
yeah, depending on where you're
because
at.
because 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 here in Illinois, don't get
You
you
spending more
know
than that?
you're almost spending like $80 on an eighth,
Okay.
and
I'm
that's
sorry.
recreational. That's recreational.
Oh my God. Okay, so the medical prices are first of all better, but second of all, that it pays for itself in taxes. Like if you're paying a 20% tax on $100 purchase every week, you just bought yourself a medical card within a month. And now you have this medical card for years, right? So it just makes it's girl math. That's what I call it. Like you're buying yourselves a savings card and better access and like that doctor approval, which is so important for a lot of people, especially with anxiety, especially saying, "Oh, I'm going out in public and I reek and like, I can't prove that that's okay." That medical card is that extra layer of protection. So, I'm a huge advocate for it. CANNAVIBE 20% off at elevate-holistics.com. Get legal with the right people.
I know we're kind of running out of time, but again, for everyone who's listening, this is not the only time that she will be here on Canna Vibe. We'll most definitely have to have her again for a longer sesh. But again, everyone is kind of you already know that again you'll be getting 20% off and stuff like that, so it's pretty exciting. But yeah, again, Aspen, thank you so much on giving you are giving us sorry your time here vibing out with us.
I really, really enjoyed it. I love talking about cannabis and mushrooms and helping people and like let's network. Let's, connect with me on LinkedIn. If you're looking for work in the cannabis space, let me know what you're looking for and how I can help. I do have someone, helping to manage the account and they're looking for messages like how can we work with people? How can we grow, this industry?
Mhm.
No pun intended.
No, yeah, most definitely. So yeah, ladies and gents, again, this is Aspen from Elevate Holistics, and again, she'll be coming soon again shortly. So again, don't forget to check out her website and stuff like that. I know she probably has some social media stuff like that, so it'll be again on the descriptions and stuff like that. So yeah, so I guess till next time, everybody, and have a good rest of your guys' day.
Cheers.